is when he tells me, hey, I'm working with new construction builders and I'm a subcontractor for new construction builders, when they do in these smaller jobs, they'll bid them really high because they don't need me, right? So you got to be careful for that because, he could just go back or he's going to continue to keep working for these builders. So that's a good thing or a bad thing. Let's see what his pricing comes in at, This isn't a really extensive job. I would estimate, a bid on this should be right around $7,500 to $8,500, for this job. I mean, we're talking about drywalls, 2x4s, labor, doorknobs, a little bit of board. It's not extensive stuff. If he comes in way higher than that, then he's just not going to be the right fit for the job. I don't look for the cheapest guy. I don't look for the most expensive guy. I want somebody I don't mind paying your premium for, but I want to know that they're going to show up. Right? I'd rather pay a couple bucks more.
Right.
Cheap isn't always the best. I know a lot of us we've always learned that. So. We'll see.
Do we want to? They were asking a lot of questions. I fielded some of them, but I would definitely love to get your.
What question?
I'd love to, if we could, move over maybe into the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Lighting's just a little bit better. Yeah. As a producer, it's the little things that really stand out on YouTube, and lighting can be one of them.
Yeah.
So
cool. Yeah. So if you have a question, we'll start here. If you have a question, you just pass it down. Just you don't have to hold it right in your mouth. It could be any question. I mean, it doesn't have to be Padsplit related. It could be about me. But if you want to gear it toward Padsplit, that's cool as well. But I'm happy to answer anything you got. No, you just hold it. It's just so you can hear it. You're like, people get intense when they have the mic in their hand. I don't know what the difference is for most people, but for me, I guess I forget about it. But some people get a little intense. And they're like, whoa, I got something. I got power. So yeah.
I was just wondering on something like this with the 8 bedrooms, like what does the typical bedroom go for?
So based on my analysis, I'm looking at about 200 to 210 on average, but that's like I'm super conservative. So what I did to run my comparables on this property is I took top producing performing properties in the area on Padsplit. I've also got with a account executive with Padsplit, which I work really close with. His name's Ray Nunez. He's now the national senior rep. He's one of the OGs, one of the first people in Padsplit. So me and him work really close together. I'll send him the property. He'll verify my numbers based on what I send him, but he'll also help me analyze the property as well. Hey, is this a good Padsplit? What are you seeing? As far as like transit, like I'm also doing all the underwriting myself, but I'm looking at like $200 a room. Now a more bigger room or more premium room, I want to charge more than that. So I'll probably be anywhere from 200 as low as 200 for these smaller rooms, upwards probably up to 249, with a $97 move-in fee.
Per week.
Per week, yeah. So I'm going to be just over $6,000, north of $6,000 a month gross on this property. My net after all the operating expenses, probably about $1,500 a month.
And he was speaking about like the roommates kind of review each other, so you could kind of see how people flow. Or like,
so they're able to. Padsplit will probe each member to write a review on each other. Hey, Susie's really loud in the morning. Hey, Susie's smoking. Hey, Bob, leaves his stinky shoes out all the time every day, right? So they get to review each other. Padsplit has a 3-key rule where if they keep violating things and they're being very noisy and they're being a nuisance in the home, we can get this person removed very quickly, right? We want to make sure everybody's happy in the living environment that they're living in. So yes, they can write reviews on each other. I can write a review on them. They can write a review on me as well.
And who decides if it's going to be an all-male or an all-female house?
Great question. You can dictate that 100%. So on Padsplit, you don't have to have instant book on. With this particular property, I will have that removed. I want to make sure it's either more female or male driven. I don't want females and males, I don't like them living together, right? Something can happen. I mean, you just don't want any funny business. I just think it just mitigates, right, your liability a little bit. I do know other Padsplit hosts that do have male and female together. And I was just with one of them the other day. They have a 10-bedroom. And now he thinks that one of the females slept with the male. And now she's trying to get back at him. And she's writing him bad review on Padsplit. Yeah. And so, you don't want that to happen. Or you don't want somebody who is like, oh, I have a crush on this person. They don't like me. And then you break into their room. And then, it just opens up a can of worms. Right. So I'm okay with all females. I'm also okay with all males. So what I would say is just take off instant booking. And Padsplit's going to do the regular vetting process, which is the credit, the background, the employment verification on that individual. And then they'll send you an email saying, hey, this person has requested a book. And then you can say, that's Judy. No, I'm not taking her, right? Same thing with the cars as well.
And then I'm assuming no pets.
No, not unless it's a service animal.
Right.
So by law, you have to allow a service animal because a service animal isn't a pet; it's a device.
Right.
So I can't deny somebody with a service animal. Emotional support, not allowed.
Right.
She asked a good question or two: is Padsplit considered a short-term rental?
No, this is a co-living space. So short-term rental, and the reason why this is legal, guys, just so you're probably wondering, you hear a lot of Airbnb is getting banned and this not allowed here. The reason why this is not transient living, this is co-living. What ends up happening is I'm the owner, I'm the landlord, and Padsplit is my tenant. Mm-hmm. The way that Padsplit gets away with it is they add the members into the LLC as a member. So Padsplit signs a 12-month lease agreement. If you look at the local ordinances, we're in line with everything. There's nothing we're doing wrong here. So it's a co-living space. When they go to book the property, they have to commit to 31 days to stay at the property.
Okay.
But they can stay as long as they want. They could be 6 years, 1 year, however long they want. They could stay as long as they want. But after 31 days, it now becomes a week-to-week basis. If they want to get out of the Padsplit sooner than 31 days, they just have to pay a small fee. But the initial commitment is 31 days.
And then when somebody leaves at 31 days or a week or whatever, who comes in and like changes over the
I have
bedroom?
a cleaner. So none of the units, when we take pictures, they're staged like with like nice linens and stuff like that, but we remove all that stuff. We just have the mattress protectors and the pillow protectors.
Okay.
I charge personally a $97 moving fee. Now, if you go on Padsplit, you will see people that have no moving fee or $10 moving fee or $20 moving fee. I get to dictate all the pricing. So the way that Padsplit works is we get to dictate everything that happens to the property. They're just doing all the vetting, right? And so I charge $97 because I want people to be dedicated to living here. Mm-hmm. A lot of these people, remember, they're lower income. They're not going to want to pay $97 and move out a week later. I don't want the freebie. I don't want to give people a freebie. I want people to be more committed to this property. So I charge $97. Plus I know I have a premium product.
And they're responsible to bring their sheets, or do you do something where, hey, for $25 I'll set some sheets on the bed for you?
You can do that, but that's more micromanaging. That's more people you have involved.
Yeah.
Once I get these properties up and going, the most hard work is the acquisition side and dealing with people like Jose, right? After you've done all that process, you can do whatever you want. You could do extras if you want, but I don't recommend it just because it becomes more of a job, right? You need to get more people involved. Now that increases your operating expenses. Right. You know, when the cleaners come in, their job is to clean the unit. If they have to clean the bedroom, turn the bedroom, they'll clean the bedroom. But if they come in just for a clean for the property, then they'll just clean the property, and their job is to take pictures. I want them to take pictures of the fridge. I want them to ask them if there's smoke smells, like see if there's any leaks, like get a good feel of the property. So you're training that cleaner to do that every time.
And how often do you have the cleaner come in?
It's up to you, but I would say once a month, depending on how many people you have living in the unit.
Right.
So I'm paying a cleaner on a property like this like $100 a month. So that's $1,200 a year added to my operating expenses. They're going to come in here. They're going to check the washer and dryer, check the lint thing. They're going to come in, make sure all the floors are clean, just in the common areas, the kitchen. They're going to clean the whole kitchen, all the bathrooms, and they're out of here.
Right. And that helps get eyes on the property too. So if there's like some leak that somebody hasn't said something to you.
Correct. Well, between your cleaner and between your monitoring devices outside, which is typically your Ring cameras or whatever surveillance system that you have, you're able to keep eyes on your property at all times. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty about this. Mm-hmm. You don't need to give your Padsplit members a heads up saying, hey, the cleaner's coming. Now, it's a courtesy, but you don't need permission to walk on this property. You go a long-term rental, you go 6 to 12 months, you walk in and there's roaches everywhere. Now you have a huge infestation. Now you have to pay for that. They're not going to pay for that. Security, So again, another big benefit of having this. That's why I like short-term rentals, because I can maintain my property a lot better, and I'm getting a higher return. Now I'm not a long-term rental guy. I'm a short-term rental or co-living type of person. If I do long-term rental, I would do it at scale, like 70, 80, 90, 100 units plus, big projects, big multifamily projects. There it makes sense. But not with this type of strategy, not with one home. Come on, man, ask me any question.
I have to think of some.
Listen, I'll make up for you. How about that?
Well, she's got her list. Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to decipher between where did my questions start and my notes stop. Okay, for a new investor who is learning to analyze deals and we don't know what the heck we're doing.
Okay.
What would you suggest? Like, people come to us, oh, we've got this property, and then you're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it.
Bare minimum, and this is what I was speaking about earlier, you need to create your buy box. That way, when those investors come to you, or you get on a lot of email lists, like wholesalers lists, you can move all the noise away. Like when I was on the way here, a guy said, hey, Javier, I have a property. I want to sell it to you. It's in Orlando. It's in your backyard. Hey, can you tell me a little about the property? First thing he says, 1925. I said, it's not. No, it's not mine. So you need to have that buy box. So you know that you're in a property today that's 1,700 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, in a major metro market. If Padsplit's going to be your exit strategy, you need to have an exit strategy specifically for Padsplit. If you're going to have an exit strategy for wraparound mortgages, you need to have specifically a buy box for that. So start with one buy box, understand that business model and what it looks like. Now that you're here today, you're going to be able to walk out and say, you know what, Javier is getting 3-bedroom, 2-bath house at 1,700 square foot. I can do a Padsplit with that and with no HO. Use my buy box for Padsplits. Now you can modify that any way you want, but what I would say is start with a buy box, and then now you can start mingling with other wholesalers, other people in the community who potentially have deals that you can buy. You know, so I would start there, creating that buy box and making sure you don't go outside of it.
Okay, so that comes to my second question. It was about the buy box, and I see, like, when you look at different properties, they all have different potential uses, right? Like this is way better used as a Padsplit than it would be, say, like an Airbnb right here in this.
Correct.
I mean, it could be, but it's better for that. Do you get to the point where you see the property and you're like, that works as this for these numbers? Do you get to that point and you can get rid of your buy box at that point?
I don't think you should ever get rid of a buy box.
Okay.
You should never ever get rid of your buy box as a real estate investor. Now, will you be fine tuning your buy box and will your buy box be changing? Yes, that's one thing. But you should never get rid of it. And that way, because you can eliminate all the distraction that we have. But like you said, real estate, you always look at it as highest and best use. What's my highest and best use? When I'm taking these deals down, I want to know I have a plan A and I have a plan B. Guess what? If Padsplit goes wrong here, I know I can break even on a long-term rental. I'm still getting tax benefits. I'm still getting loan pay down. I'm still getting 27.5-year depreciation. That's if things go south, right? So I want to make sure I have plan A and plan B in place.
Okay. All right. What about the backyard?
Nothing happens there.
Nothing
happens there. I don't want people congregating out. Remember, this type of living space, I don't want people having bonfires. I don't want people hanging out there.
Okay.
I don't want people playing horseshoe or putt-putt golf out there. Nothing. Like they cannot go out there. I mean, they can go out there. They can walk around, but I'm not doing anything out there.
Okay.
No lawn chairs. People cannot bring their furniture here. This isn't bring your furniture here.
Okay.
Right? Their property or their bedroom has all the furniture and everything they need. They bring their toothbrush and that's it. And their clothes.
Toothbrush and clothes. Okay.
Pretty much.
So what if they take your stuff? That was another.
You can charge them.
Okay.
You can charge them. These people have credit cards on file.
Okay. What has been the neighborhood response? Have you talked to anybody in the neighborhood?
No, I haven't. I haven't got any negative responses. If I do, I will, talk with the neighbor, talk it through with them, letting them understand the business model. Now, they're probably going to be like today, like for instance, I was going to have 20 people here today. I'm glad 20 people didn't show up. I'm not trying to make it look like a party. I wanted this to be an intimate thing, right? You guys get to talk to me. I get to know you. How can we all work together? Now, at this property, I'm having 8 people. Remember what I said earlier? I'm only allowing 4 cars.
Right.
This cannot look like a car lot.
Right.
This cannot look like there's trash coming out of the trash cans. Like it needs to be. It's for me. I'm doing something at a very professional level, and so I convey that over to the neighbors. Right. Even on my short-term rentals, I have one. My biggest project right now that I launched in North Carolina, Waynesville, North Carolina. I have a neighbor. Kid you not. I have this beautiful deck that we built in the backyard, and he's complaining because the string lights are shining into his bathroom. So we deal with these cases no matter what. You're going to have the Karen that lives in the neighborhood for 30, 40 years who is not going to like what you're doing, and you're not going to please everybody. But you're going to deal with these people as professional as you can and just talk to them. Hey, here's my cell phone. If you have any issues, you contact me. Make sure that you're a resource.
Yeah.
Send them freaking flowers, whatever you got to do, right?
All the things.
Butter them up a little bit. But I can tell you this. Across all my properties that I have, I've had neighbor complaints, and they know to contact me directly, and we're gonna take care of it. They know I'm on top of it. I'm handling it professional.
I mean, I'm thinking this would be amazing for students. Like I have a daughter who's young, and this would be amazing for girls who are young. And I would definitely pay more to put her in a space that
Correct.
that I felt like it was clean and there were just girls, and so I am.
Flagler College.
Well, she's in Montana.
I'm saying I've had that thought for about 2 weeks now of how I could do something near Flagler College, because I had friends when they were there, they rented a room in a house and they were 3-bedroom house, 4-bedroom house, and then like this is the next iteration to me is like, okay, I'm in this area anyway, how can I help the people around me and then also make money?
Yeah.
So remember, depending on the market you're in, your member avatar is going to be different. If you're next to an Amazon a distribution center that has 10,000 employees, you're going to have Amazon workers there most likely. If you're next to a college, you're probably going to have students. So understanding the demographic of people who are going to be, booking your room.
Did you fund this with private money lenders?
No. I had initially how the deal started was I brought a PMP in the deal.
Okay.
I was going to give him a 50% equity stake into the deal. He decided that subject to, and this deal wasn't for him. We're going to do other deals together, but this deal wasn't for him. What I did was I was like, okay, well, I want to own the deal by myself, so I'd rather bring in a PML.
Okay.
So raising money at what I offered to PMLs at the time was 12% interest annualized. But I wanted the PML money for a minimum of 24 to 36 months. All the PMLs right now, they want their money back like tomorrow. I can't borrow 50, and by the way, I was only asking for a PML for the closing cost. So not only do I have my time, I also have the future renovations on my dime, right? So I was offering this and second lien position on one of my other assets that has over $250,000 in it. So I was going to cross collateralize.
Okay.
All the PMLs want short term, but a lot of PMLs don't realize you're in and out of deals. One, it's a lot of risk that they have to, it's a lot of risk for them. Plus they're also in and out of deals that they have to underwrite. Anybody in this room who's doing PML, it's a lot of work doing PML. So I'm looking for somebody who is called Camel.
Yeah,
whatever. In Gator, they call it a camel. Right. So anyways, it's terminology. So a camel. So, but I told him, I said, look, anytime I come across a deal, I'm heavily capitalized myself. I don't need anybody to fund my deals. I have multiple businesses that cash flow very heavily. I've been in business for myself for over 10 years. So I have a short-term rental business, I have my property management business, and I have a realtor business. These businesses bring me a shitload of money. Now, it's not a highest and best use of my money for me to park them in deals like this. But if I have to, I will. In this scenario, I'm the one. Well, I'm in a position to where I do have a lot of money that I'm just sitting in a bank account where I did fund the deal myself. But I also, on the renovation side and all that stuff, I'll leverage, I have credit lines with Chase at 0% for 24 months. So I'm okay with parking the money here on this particular deal. Now, that's not something you want to do. You want to leverage and use velocity of money. Don't ever do that. But I'm in a different position, right? You guys might be in the same position, but I was okay with doing that on this particular deal. Going forward, as I scale, there will be more PMLs in here. But I'm cultivating relationships with PMLs who are okay with 24 to 36 months, who are okay with investing into an operator, right? It's not like it's my first deal. So I'm getting a lot of those relationships where people are saying, hey, I'm okay with deploying in this deal. I know, like, and trust you. Okay, I know you're a good operator. So raise PML for your deals or put a private money partner in it. And that private money partner, I was gonna give them 50% equity and a 60-40 the cash, cash flow on the back end.
Why did that not work for him?
He's outside of sub 2. And he's one of my investors that I've sold houses to many, many times. He's just not really a fan of partnerships. A lot of people aren't. That's another thing, another conversation. Be careful who you partner with. It's hard to find good partners. It's hard to find people who are trustworthy. It's hard to find people who say what we're going to do, right? And like bigger commercial projects, like I'm going into a lot of big commercial projects right now. And when I say big commercial, I'm talking about big multifamily. That's one of the things I'm focusing on this year, big multifamily. I'm buying, and what I said earlier, I'm still buying single family home. I still love single family home. It still has a place in my heart, but I'm only buying good deals. It's not worth my time otherwise. I can put my time and energy in bigger projects. And so when you're in these bigger projects and you're a GP, which is a general partner, if you don't follow the rules and your GP rule, you get removed from that deal. When single family, and yeah, you could put that in your operating agreement, but it's just not as like, I just feel like it's not as formal, right? It's just, people still slack off, you know? So you're still going to have people slack off no matter what project you're in. But really going back to answer your question, go with PML or go with a private money partner on whatever exit strategy that you want to go in. And there's tons of them in Sub 2 and there's tons of them in Gator. And I've been talking to a lot of them. The reason, I'm going to go back to another thing. My PMP told me about a week before that he wasn't going to come into the deal. At first he said, I'll fund the $50,000. He agreed to it, right? I got a verbal agreement. It's another thing. You need to make sure these guys are putting some type of consideration into your deal that's non-refundable. Because you don't want to get to the 11th hour and all of a sudden they don't fund.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna be your PMP.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, you've talked to all these people. You got the deal ready. You're ready to close. All of a sudden, it doesn't close because you're PMP. Mm-hmm. So make sure they have some type of consideration in the deal, which is money. Mm-hmm. $5,000 escrow deposit. Make them put the escrow deposit down and make sure it's not refundable on their end. That way, that they have money tied in this deal. There's got to be some skin in the game.
Okay.
So, but go that route, either PMP or PML. And then I had such a short window for a PML opportunity that if I wasn't capitalized like I am, I would have issues funding this deal,
Are you connected with the Jacksonville real estate group here? Okay.
No. I know a lot of people, but you can connect me. I know a lot of people. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Cash Geeks.
Yeah.
Cash Geeks. Yeah. So the owner, the CEO of that company, me and him started real estate at the same time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he's now grown a huge business. He actually has all of Jacksonville's zip codes. He has his cold callers. He's spending $30,000, $40,000 a month on VAs. Mm-hmm. But me and him, we started at the same time, and I got to see him blow up.
That's cool.
So Cash Geeks, I do know them. I'm really familiar with them. I got really good connections with them. So, but they only do cash transactions. They don't do creative. I keep telling him you need to get into creative, but he's like, nah, I don't want to.
Well, that was my list. Just a couple.
Do I have a question for you? Okay, so when and how can we find out who you decide to go with on as far as a contractor for this one?
So he's going to get me a bid back in 24 hours, he said. I always ask how soon. I have another guy bidding it. I've already done my vetting process. I'm going to pick one of the two. Depending on what his bid comes back at, like I said, he's doing jobs for big builders. Probably D.R. Horton, probably Lennar. He's really busy. Why does he want to mess with a guy like me? I asked him in the garage. I know you guys didn't see, but I said, hey, do you have time for this project? So I'm pretty blunt, pretty straightforward. But if he's smart as a contractor, he knows that I know my shit. Just the way I'm talking to him, the way, I know measurement, I know material costs, I know my stuff. I've been going to Home Depot for years and getting bids from jobs and dealing with contractors. So I would say he has that quote for me tomorrow. I have another guy give me a quote, and then I'll make a decision based on those two quotes.
That's good. One more question. Are you open to a new investor who wants to get into Padsplit or whatever exit strategy to partner with, so they can get that experience from you?
Yes. So I was in Tampa. This is actually a good one. I was in Tampa last week, and a guy, Nick, he has a 9-to-5 job, and he has a lot of money in his 401k. He liquidated the whole entire thing through Vanguard. Mm-hmm. And now he's like, you know what? I want to do these deals. You can use my whole entire retirement account, all the money that I have in it, as long as you let me tag along with you and learn how to do these deals. So he wants to do the footwork as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm open to that, right? So you learn, I learn, you take your knowledge, and you're going to keep growing, right? We're in a community. We're here to help each other. We're here to connect. I come across a lot of people with deals with no money, then I come across a lot of people with money, no deals. Yeah. So let's bridge that gap. Let's all work together. And how do we work together? And it doesn't have to just be necessary money. You can know maybe a good contractor, maybe, I don't know, a good family and friend. You might say, hey, I know a good cleaner in the area. How can we connect with each other? Same thing with Matt. He's got tons of skills. He's in Gator. He's only in Gator, and now we've collaborated. I'll make an example. I met him at another meetup. Mm-hmm. He's my integrator. I'm a visionary. Mm-hmm. So we both understand each other, and we work together really well. I met him at a random Disney meetup that I never thought I would go to, but the universe was telling me to go there. But it's rooms like this where you build your relationships. It's rooms like this where you get your capital and your deals from. You guys are all local. I'm doing a deal here in Jacksonville. I'm sure you guys know a lot of people, that can help me out with services on this deal. Now I have all you guys' contact information. Now we can stay in communication. So 100%, absolutely.
You only go to places that Padsplit allows, as far as these different
The
states.
market.
I know they're not in every market.
So they're right now. So but just so you guys know, Padsplit's a worldwide company. Mm-hmm. They're worldwide. They got about 175 employees right now. Padsplit is now, they just opened up 4 new markets, and they plan to be in every major metro area. But right now, so you got to realize this. What fuels Padsplits, what fuels these bedrooms are basic job growth, the workforce. If you're not in a major metro market or in a secondary market that's close to one that has these basic job growths, you're not going to stay occupied. You want to make sure you have a 90+% occupancy rate. So I'm focused on major metro markets, and that's in my buy box. So I'm only going to stick to those markets that Padsplit's in, because remember, they're also putting their marketing dollars to those markets. Right? They advertise on Instagram, YouTube, Google. They're advertising everywhere. They're spending all that marketing dollar to get someone to look at your property and book your property.
Right.
And so on the dashboard, it's pretty cool. You get to see the metrics of how many eyeballs are looking at your property. Every given month, I'll have 18,000 people looking at my bedrooms. It's crazy, you know? So I'm only sticking to these major metro markets because this is the people who can fuel who are going to fuel these bedrooms that need the jobs, or they need the rooms. And these basic job growths.
Do you physically go to every location when you get one under contract to, like this situation?
Yes.
I know it's easy to drive here, but if you have it in another state.
Yes, but I would make it worth my while.
Okay.
So like, make an example. How am I utilizing my time today? Not only did I get to build a new a relationship with Jose, I'm getting to build a new relationship with you guys. I'm getting to get content out of this. You're about to see a bunch of content come from us, right? And so we're able to get all these things handled in just one meet. Today I was going to have an internet guy come. Like I'm making use of my time. It's not just like I'm just showing up. If you're doing this at scale, you want to delegate. It's all about delegating and leveraging. So eventually, yes. On the customer service side of my businesses, I have VAs that do all my customer service. I told him, I just brought on a new VA out of Pakistan. I'm paying them $120 a week. And they work 24 hours a day for me, 7 days a week. It's a team, and they're freaking phenomenal. So I go to Upwork to hire my VAs to do my customer service and stuff like that. My first Padsplit that I got going, I did a lot of the nitty gritty, meaning like I didn't build any of the furniture or any of that stuff, but I wanted to interact with the members a little bit more, just to kind of see what their perspective was, so I can have their perspective and put myself in their shoes. But I'm sticking to major metro markets or really, really, really good secondary markets. Jacksonville, this property, as you guys know, I don't have to tell you, we got the naval base, we got the hospital, downtown Jacksonville. The basic job growth here it's phenomenal. We have good appreciation here. I'm looking at all these things. And by the way, when I'm analyzing my deals and I'm underwriting my deals, I'm also going to the Census Bureau. You know, those people who constantly calling us and mailing us and knocking on your doors. Those are the people who should get on the wholesale deals because they're like relentless. They're like, give me your information. So I go to Census Bureau. Look up demographics, bestplaces.net, and then I also go to the public transient, like whatever property I want to buy. So I'll go to the Jacksonville bus route and see how this property fits into that bus route. So these are the things that I'm incorporating in my underwriting that are very important because people, remember, 40% don't have vehicles. So I'm looking at all those things. Yeah. So
now, does Padsplit look at it as if, I know like short-term rentals, they can become very saturated in a market. So do they look at that and analyze it with you to say, you may not want to be in this area because it's so saturated?
No.
Or is that not an issue?
No, because think about this. Right now we have a crisis in the world we live in. Our crisis are affordable housing for families. If every single builder, the biggest builder is Lennar and D.R. Horton. They are building homes like hotcakes. They are acquiring land like hotcakes. They are not going to catch up. Based on statistics, they're not going to catch up for 10 years out of the amount of homes they're building. That's one affordable housing problem that we're having. That's for families. We have another affordable housing problem, which is for individuals. And so for us to catch up, it's going to be years and years and years. It's going to be a long time, And remember, I always have plan B in mind on these properties. Try to at least have 2 exits. Padsplit doesn't work out, I'll go long-term rental. So
touching back on that, if you had to pivot from a Padsplit back to a long-term rental, would you come back in and take out some of the improvements that you're putting in currently to open the space back up?
Yeah, potentially. And then you got to remember, we're just taking down, my key thing is just putting up walls and you can remove them.
And that's what
it's not a costly to remove these walls. You can come in here with a sledgehammer and remove these walls very fast. So yes, potentially, because you want it to be more marketable to a long-term tenant. What's the marketability of your property? People don't want an 8-bedroom home, or maybe they do, right? You can maybe try it out, but you're probably not going to be, people want the couch in the living room to feel comfortable. So yeah, you're going to have to do some type of conversion back. But at least I know I have an exit plan versus just saying like, oh, I'm shit out of luck. Like I'm stuck. I don't want to be stuck. I want to have 2 exits, and I can do that with this. Or if the market presents itself in the right time, I can hold this property. Typically my holds are going to be 5 to 7 years. Now, this is a 2.75 interest rate. One of my strategies as an investor is I look at every time I acquire a piece of real estate as a money farm. These things never quit on me. They never call in sick on me. These things are generating money. They're generating cash. And so what I'll do, if the bank rates are in our favor, I'll do a cash out refinance. If rates ever get down to that cheap. I don't know what they're going to do. But let me tell you something. I built a lot of my wealth when bank rates were cheap. I was utilizing the banks. I was doing cash out refinancing on all these properties that I own. I was pulling out $90K on each property and getting investment rates at 3.5. So I did that for a long time, and that's how I came up a lot of my capital. And then I reinvested that, and then I'll buy another property with that. And so I was just using all this leverage. So with this property, if bank rates ever get in favor to us investors, I can refinance. I can do a cash out refinance at some point. And so that's what I love. Yeah. And so that's what I love. I'm younger, so I don't care to be a little bit more leveraged. Some of you guys might say, you know what, I don't like that. It's too much risk. But no matter what, the bank's going to make you to keep 20% equity in it, because you can only get typically a 70 to 80% loan to value ratio. So I'm okay with doing that right now where I'm at my point in my life. If I was 70, I'd probably say no. But, No. I just come from a perspective of, I just don't want you guys to compare yourself to me, because we all have a different journey. Right. We're all in a different place. So I just don't want you to take everything that I say and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to do exactly what Javier's doing. I just make that clear, because a lot of people, where we get stuck as humans, we want to compare ourselves to others a lot. Yeah. And then you get stuck in that. I don't compare myself to Pace. I'm not trying to be a Pace. Right? I have my own journey. So it's important when you go in this journey, you know what your journey is, and you know what you're going to do. And so that's why what's very specific, you create that buy box, and you'll come in time. It comes with experience, and you're here today.
And my insight on, following Pace, Jerry Norton, Jamil, being partnered up with Javier for the last several months. Understanding, I think it's important to know all the exit strategies when you look at a deal. Like the one we broke down. But we went through like what could this have been, and we almost we said, okay, this is what we think it's going to be. We went through 3 different ones, and we said Padsplit's probably the only one that's going to really fit it. But then as we go deeper, and then more red flags came up, just because I was telling you guys earlier about the city ordinance. Do we really want to deal with the city? Right. Like that was kind of like the takeaway. Like, we don't want to deal with the city, so we're going to pass. But I look at when I'm underwriting and I'm working with other people in the community, they don't know how to underwrite their deals. I understand all the exits to a degree, so I know okay, is this in a good market for long term? Is this good market short term?
Yeah.
Is there HOAs? And so Padsplit, knowing Padsplit helps you when a deal comes across, whether or not does it fit my buy box. And right now, Javier's buy box is short term rental Padsplit. That's it. If it doesn't fit that exit, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm very niched, right? I'm very intentional in what I'm doing. I'm not trying to do everything. I'm very intentional in what I'm doing. I've done almost every single exit strategy, and I'm very well versed in real estate. And so I understand every exit strategy. So when I'm analyzing a deal, I can really analyze it very quickly to see if it will fit one of the other buckets, But with Padsplit, that's why I come across a lot of deals now that I can take down, because before long-term rental doesn't work, and long-term rental is not my thing. And being that short-term rental, short-term rental is still a great, phenomenal exit strategy. And I'm going to tell you that from a lot of experience. It's still a great exit strategy. You just have to have a very niche product. You have to be an emerging market. You have to be able to give a consumer the experience. That's what Airbnb is showcasing now more than ever. Experiences. That's what Airbnb is. And so it's hard to come across those type of deals creatively. They're there, but it's just they're just way more. They're a lot harder, more difficult to come across. Yeah.
How do you feel about the crime in the area? Because I'm very well versed and raised here, so I know the area well. And being a real estate agent, he was on the fire department 25 years. We know the area.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I look for C plus neighborhoods, B minus. Okay. I can tell you right now, you know, it's not like you go out there and there's thugs on bicycles out there. I'm looking at these things, right? I know Duvall County is very well known for crime. I'm not investing in those type of neighborhoods. I won't invest in those type of neighborhoods. I don't want to be in those type of neighborhoods. So I want neighborhoods just like this. I don't want to go anything lower than what you see where we're in today. So I am looking at that perspective. I'm driving the neighborhood, stuff like that.
I guess that's my biggest challenge, being outside of here and trying to invest in other states, because I know my area. This is just my farming area. So, but when, like, we're looking for a place in Billings, Montana, our daughter lives there. So we're looking for a place there. And, you know, so I don't know, you know, what to really look for, because number one, that's non-disclosure state. So you're not seeing prior pictures and things like that. So it's a little different. Yeah,
I guess, you know, the best answer to that question is invest in your own backyard. And that's what I always tell people. Invest in your own backyard, because not only do you know your market, you also typically have a Rolodex of contractors and connections in those areas. So you got to realize, like, Jacksonville is a newer market for me. So it's going to be a little bit more work for me to get in this market than it is you. But I'm okay with a Jacksonville market, or 2-hour commute from me. Going to my STR portfolio. I have an STR in Waynesville, North Carolina, but I have a whole team that runs it. You know, I have boots on the ground over there, so I don't need to be there. You know, and I'm okay with being that I've invested this long in my journey, that I'm okay with going to a market there in North Carolina that's in Waynesville, that is an hour flight for me. You know, so stay in your backyard. Stay in your backyard. I think that's the most important.
I'd say, trying to get, you know, info on different cities and different areas is, you said it, boots on the ground. Find people in the area that are already investing over there. Say, hey, I'm looking to buy properties over there. I'm an out-of-state investor. I'd love somebody to, you know, give me, like, your insights on it, and I pay for it. You know, like, hey, I pay for your time or your knowledge. I don't understand the non-disclosure state. Does that mean that we can't look up, like, that kind of criminals?
Can't even see what they paid for.
A
lot of
I know
them
that.
don't have the crime mapping.
Like
and
the crime
it's just,
mapping,
a lot of states don't. We even have counties here that do not. I don't think Clay County offers the crime mapping, or Green Code doesn't. So it just really depends on counties and states, but that's been one of my biggest challenges when I look at things there, of knowing what it would really, am I getting a decent deal or not? Or is it going to work for this?
Knowing the market. If you don't know the market, then don't spin your wheels. Just don't, you know. It's just too much risk and too much time, you know. Until you know that market. Like, for instance, when I invested in Waynesville, North Carolina, I knew my market. I actually paid a data analyst $500 for 1 hour. I spent $500, gave him, you know, he's a data aggregator for short-term rentals, right? So he gets all the little data. He's got a company, it's called STR Insights. And I was able to hire him for 1 hour to see if I'm in an emerging market. Am I in a market that's going to yield me the return that I think it's going to yield me? I'd rather spend $500 and do all this guesswork, hire a professional. So I delegate like that as well, you know? So just knowing your market. So you might want to say, you might want to get with a top realtor out there who can help you and utilize you and be your boots on the ground out there. If you really want to go to Montana. I like Whitefish, Montana, by the way. You know?
Well, if she lived in Whitefish, then I would be more apt, but she's in Village.
So, yeah. But yeah, no, just know your market. Stay in a, you know, close to your market. You're in Jacksonville. You're in a great market. Scale your portfolio out here. Florida's a great market in general. One thing also I want to touch on as well, and you guys have probably been hearing this: insurance. And I spoke on this in sub 2, right? Even Pace chimed in and Insurance, you can get really cheap insurance premiums if the 4 major components are updated: the roof, plumbing, electrical, and AC. If these things are updated, and when I say updated, with no older than, let's say, 5 to 10 years old, you're going to get a fair policy. They don't care about if your kitchen cabinets are updated or not. As long as these things are updated, then you're good, right? They're going to give you a fair insurance policy. Is also, obviously, you want to look if you're in a flood zone. That's an additional policy that you have to cover. Believe it or not, this property's in a flood zone. You know, flood insurance can range anywhere between $500 to $3,000 a year, depending on the property. I mean, there's a lot of variables. But you can get, like, when I'm looking at these properties, I want to make sure my roof, big ticket items, CapEx. My CapEx for this property is $280 a month. That's 5%, right? If you have an older property, you might want to do 10% CapEx. But my CapEx budget's about $300 a month for this property. And the AC's updated, the water heater's updated, the roof is 1 year old, plumbing has been replumbed, this whole entire property's been replumbed. I did a home inspection on this property when I bought it. You know, I'm investing to see if this property is suitable for me. One other thing I want to mention too is people don't realize you need to see if you're going to do this business model, and this is probably one of the biggest things, biggest takeaways I can give you today, is you need to know if you're on city sewer or septic. Septic systems can't handle this amount of people typically because it's not adequate. Meaning typical septic tanks are about 500 gallons to upwards of 1,000 gallon tanks. Drain fields are typically 300-400 square foot. A lot of these properties that come with septic systems aren't adequate for this amount of members. So you need to upgrade that system. Adding a bigger drain field and a bigger septic system. So you don't want to be stuck with that, or get a saturated drain field.
What type of insurance do you have to carry?
I carry, so the particular policy that I have is very similar to short-term rental. So my insurance agent, he knows that it's going to be a co-living environment. So the policy, the way they structure it is it's a landlord policy. I can't remember like exactly like liability, et cetera, like that. But it's a landlord policy. It's very similar to short-term rental insurance. I also I recommend, depending on, you know, how you scale or if you're going to plan to scale, to get an umbrella policy as well. You can get up to $3 million, typically for $50 to $80 a month, right? So you're going to become more of a liability the more assets that you own, the more vehicles you have on the road. You know, you want to make sure you have coverage in any way, shape, or form that you have. And then this property has been bought under an entity under my corporate structure as well. So one of my subsidiaries has purchased this property. So I have 100% anonymity on this property. No one knows who I am. But I'm sure they can find me if they wanted to. That's just the way I look at it. I mean, if you know, any lawyer or investigator does enough digging, you know, you can have anonymity, that's okay, but I really don't think you're 100% anonymity at any point. But no, there's no 100%, but I just set it up that way. This is the way, you know, the corporate structure we've been taught, but I think a lot of it makes sense as well. So, but yeah.
You're giving yourself away, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Some investors do one, you know, entity per property. Some do 4 or 5. It depends on your risk tolerance.
Yeah.
You know, you got to ask yourself. That's another thing. You know, you have to have a risk tolerance. So.